What's up everyone and welcome to today's tutorial. It's going to be an exciting one, so I hope you guys are ready. What we're going to do today is motion track or track real footage and then create 3D elements and composite that together to create a really cool VFX scene of a rocket exiting a bunker in Switzerland. Cool. Let me just start off by saying thank you to everyone who subscribed. I see we're sitting on 401 subscribers, which is really exciting. Thank you to all the positive comments. Really keeps me motivated to create awesome content for you guys. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to all of you, and also just wanted to mention, if you're not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing. It takes 4 seconds and it's free, and it really helps me out. So I see the majority of people that watch the videos aren't subscribed, so this is just a reminder. Alright, getting into today's video. Let's start by getting the footage. So the footage that I used, I just downloaded from YouTube. You can search Switzerland in 8K and then see if this comes up. It's under the YouTube channel 8K World, and so I just downloaded this clip and I used the YouTube downloader, so y2mate.is, to download that footage. So you can do that, and then once that's done, you also want to go download the rocket so that we will be using. We're not going to model a rocket. This is purely just like a compositing, motion tracking VFX tutorial. So what I did was I looked for rocket free 3D models, and I just kind of browsed. I usually use these 3 websites, so Free 3D, Turbo Squid, and CG Trader. So I just went and browsed, and I think I ended up using this Space Rocket Saturn V free 3D model from Free 3D. So let's just go in there. It might have been that one. Oh no. Yeah, this is the one I used, and it was on CG Trader. It'll be the second one that comes up. It's got really cool detail. So I just downloaded that. I downloaded the free download and the Blender file. Cool. So once that's done, I'm gonna just close this window. We're gonna pop into Blender, where we need to first, what we need to do is take our footage and only select the scene that we want, and then export that as individual frames so that we can bring it back into Blender and track it. So the first thing you want to do is when you start up Blender, it'll pop up a screen and you can just select video editing. Then what you want to do is navigate to where you saved that footage. So let me just have a look-see here. I've got my footage, and it'll be this one. You're going to drag it in and just drop it on your timeline or your sequencer, and you can see it's loaded in your footage here. But now obviously our footage is quite long, and we don't want to track the whole video, just a specific scene. We're just going to scrub through and look for that scene. I think it was, it could have been this, I think it was this, no, it was in between mountains somewhere that I am using. So just keep scrubbing through. You can really use any part of this footage or any other footage that you want. Obviously it will just help to follow along the tutorial if you use the same footage that I am. So there's a lot of different scenes in here. Gosh, I'm not sure where the one is that I used. It's in here somewhere. Gracious. I don't know. Oh wait, I just saw it. Oh no. Oh, come on, man. Where is it? It's in here somewhere. I don't know how I missed it. I will skip this long part where I'm looking for the footage. Anyway, you know what? I honestly can't find it at this point, so I'm just going to show you with whatever random part. So let's say you want to just export this scene. So it starts here, and then you want to just drag your start frames to that point, and then where it kind of finishes, so it finishes around there, you want to bring down or move your end frame there, so only that part is selected, because that's what we want to export. Now I know that this footage is 1920 by 1080 and we've got 60 frames per second. So you want to navigate to where you're going to save these images. So you go to your Blender project folders. I created a folder called Rocket Bunker VFX footage, and then create a folder called image sequence. And in there, you're just going to name it image sequence underscore, because Blender will save them out as 0001, 0002, so each individual frame, just to keep things tidy. So you're just going to name it image sequence underscore, and then click accept. So I've already done this. It shouldn't take too long. So once you've selected that navigation folder or the output folder, then you want to change this to JPEG, because we don't want really large files. We just want files that we can load in, that we can track, because we won't be using those images for the final scene in any case. So we select JPEG. We're going to say, yeah, I'll leave it on 90% quality. That's fine. And we're happy with that. You're going to go click render, render animation. And that's going to go and save all of those. This entire part here will be saved into individual frames. So once that's done, you want to go to new VFX. We don't have to save this. Now, we're going to start by tracking our footage. So what you want to do is click open, navigate to where you save those images, which would be your Rocket Bunker VFX folder, footage, image sequence. Just click on the first image and say open clip. Now, it's going to load in. It's going to load in the footage. Then you want to click on set scene frames. That'll automatically adjust your project scene frames to the amount of frames imported. You want to click on prefetch, and what that does is loads in the individual images. It preloads it in, so that when you scrub through here or move through or play, it's not delayed or slow. So you can see it's loading in all of my images here, and we will just give that a moment. Okay, and now you'll see if I press play, it plays. Skip back. Just want to go here. Okay, so now remember, we need to adjust our frame rate. We know that we want the footage is initially 60 frames per second, so we need to change that, and that is the resolution size 1920 by 1080, so that's fine. Now, moving on, there seems to be a lot of nice little details for us to track. So what we're going to do is just click on detect features, and it's going to just go and automatically detect a bunch of little features that it can track. But we want to add more markers, so we're going to open here detect features, click on that, and we want to reduce the distance between these tracking markers to around 80. And you see, the lower this number goes, the more tracking markers are added to your scene. So we can just set that to 50. For now, we've got a bunch of tracking markers, and we can actually press S. Click here, A4 to select all, and then just scale them up slightly. And then what we want to do is the motion model we want to set to the location, the rotation, and the scale. Because this camera is moving forward, it's going to pan upward, and it's zooming in because it's basically moving forward. So we select that one. The match keyframe is fine, pre-pass. And then what you want to do to get a better track is you can click on normalize footage. So what this does is when it's tracking, it normalizes all the footage or the images color wise, so that the brightness stays consistent and the tracking markers won't jitter or jump around, and then you get a better track. It does take longer to track when you enable this setting, so if you don't want to wait that long, then don't select that. Once we've done that, we're going to go ahead and track our footage forward. So we're going to click on this button, track forward, and just leave it to track through the footage. Alright, so that is done. Cool. Now you can see that it tracked really well. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes I use After Effects to track my footage and then import those settings into Blender. But I thought I'd just use Blender for this tutorial. And so it's tracked a lot of really nice points all the way to the end. So as you can see, all these points at the bottom, when you scrub to the end, they kind of drop off and they stop tracking. But I wouldn't be too concerned in this clip, because we still have a bunch of yellow markers, which meant that they tracked correctly, and then that's fine. We can use those, and we will just go ahead and delete all these other ones. Just keep in mind that you need a minimum of 8 tracking markers to successfully track your scene. So we have more than enough. From the start to the end, you need to have more than 8 tracks that tracked correctly. So that's not a problem. So we're gonna just skip to the end here, and then you want to just click anyway, and it's gonna deselect, and then you press C to find the selection tool, and then I just want to select all of these other tracking markers that didn't track correctly. Careful not to select the ones that are tracked correctly. So all of these, just gonna go and select a bunch of them, escape, press X and delete, and just go in a little closer, press C to go to the selection, select that one, those ones there. You can roll your mouse wheel to adjust the size of the selection tool. Then just go select the individual ones there, that one, those, this one, and that one. And I think that might be all. So you press escape and then X to delete and delete tracks. And now you can see we've got those tracking markers that are tracking correctly, which is fantastic. Now, the next step, we're gonna go to solve, and now what you want to do is we're gonna select keyframe. So Blender will automatically select which keyframes to analyze, to see, to look for rotation and perspective adjustments. And then we want to say we want to refine the focal length of our footage, because we don't know what that is, and the optical center, which is fine. And we're just gonna go ahead and say solve camera motion. Now just give that a few minutes to load. Okay, that's done. And you can see here we've got a solve error of 0.40, which is pretty good. You want to aim for, to get really super accurate track, you want to aim for under 0.3. So you can go and try and adjust them and retrack this. But you know what, 0.4, that's pretty good, so we're going to stick to that. You don't always get that. Do not go over 0.4 or 0.5, because then you're going to get a really terrible track. You're going to see that your CG footage will basically jitter or bounce or slide around on your footage, and you do not want that, because then it just defeats the whole purpose of tracking the footage, and it's not going to be convincing when you look at the final end result. So we've got a 0.4, we're happy with that. So let's move on. Now we need to set the origin point before I create the floor. So I know that I want to create my bunker over here in this open area somewhere. So I'm going to select that track. Actually, you know what? Just close to this. I want other tracks that's in line with it, because we need to set the axis orientation. So I'm just going to select any one of these, just maybe that one. I'm going to set that as my origin point. All right, and then let's set our axis quickly. So the X will be horizontal to this, so that can be that one, and the Y must be one above that. All right, and then, because if you think about it, the lines will run, X will run horizontally over, Y will run from this side down the mountains that way, and Z will be up and down. So we've selected that. Now what we want to do is we can set the scale. So we can click maybe that point and say that distance is, if I had to guess, probably around 30 meters. So I'm gonna say 30. Click set scale. Or let's just bring it down, maybe 15. Set scale. And then we want to create our floor. So in order to create your floor, you need to select 3 tracking points. So I'm going to select this one, that's close to the camera on the left, then one in the far distance, and then one that's close again on the right. Kind of a triangle, so you get a nice perspective going. And then we're going to click on create floor, and we can say set up background and set up tracking scene, and that's going to drop in our cube and our camera and everything like that. Maybe we can just adjust the scale, because it might be a little hectic. So we'll just select these 2 points and say, yeah, okay, maybe it's just a 10 meter difference, and set scale. Okay, now we need to go see if our footage tracked correctly. So what I just want to mention to you quickly is you might want to adjust your clip start and end view, because if objects are further away than this distance, they're not going to show in your viewport. So you want to change that. I just set it to 1,000,000 and then it's done. I don't have to worry about it. And you want to do that the same in your camera. Your India, you're going to set to 1,000,000. Then it's done. So let's go to layout, and we're going to go into our viewport here. Our cube and our plane. I think that we need to just scale this up a bit so we can see what's going on. Go into our camera view, and now if we scrub through our footage, let's see if it tracked correctly. So let's give it a play and see. And that's pretty good. That is a pretty good track. Doesn't look like it's shifting around much. I think there was a little bit of a shift at some point here. I think somewhere around here you can see it shifting very slightly. But you know what? There, right over here, you can see there's a little shift there. But you know what? This is pretty good. I like it. And I think it will definitely work for what we want to achieve in this video. So now what you want to do is go ahead and save your project file, because we're going to be working with this. Cool. Now that you've successfully tracked that, let me just show you quickly. Once you set up your tracking scene, it automatically creates a shadow catcher, and it just places an object in the scene as a reference. And if we go here to cycles render GPU, and I'm gonna go to rendered view, we need to, in order to see our footage there, we need to go to film, click and select transparent, and then you can see that. So yeah, let's see. Let's just adjust this light. Let's set that to like 6000. This is your shadow catcher, and that should then technically cast a shadow. And for some reason it's not really casting a shadow there, but that can be fixed. Let's give it a quick render. Yeah, so there you go. You can see my cube floating. It looks very sci-fi looking, and it's casting a shadow there on that area. So this is part one, guys. Thank you for joining. In this part, we just wanted to go through finding some footage, saving it out, tracking it, and getting ready to start creating our CG assets that we will be placing into our environment. That'll be part two. And then part three will probably be the compositing part and finishing off. So thank you for joining. I hope to see you on the next one. If you enjoyed this video, please like. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Share with your friends and family, or anyone who you know has an interest in visual effects. It really helped me out, and it just kind of it motivates me to create more content for you guys when I see that people are responding and commenting positively and subscribing. And I really want to grow this channel. It's really a passion that I have. So yeah, thanks a lot for joining, and I'll see you on the next part.